The gavel slammed down like a gunshot in the dusty Texas heat, sealing Jason's fate before he even realized the auctioneer was yelling his name. Sold to the gentleman in the back. Lot 47. The boy with the guitar. Heart pounding, Jason clutched his beat-up acoustic tighter, his knuckles white against the wood, as the crowd of roughnecks and ranchers erupted in whistles and bets. But it wasn't cattle or hay bales on the block this time. It was him, 19, broke and freshly outed by a small-town scandal that turned his own blood against him. His father's voice still echoed in his skull from that last porchside screaming match. "You're no son of mine, you filthy queer. Get out before you drag us all to hell." Jason had run then, hitchhiked south to this godforsaken auction yard outside Amarillo, figuring he'd pawn his guitar for bus fare and vanish into the anonymity of some big city nowhere. Instead, desperation had led him here, trading his freedom for $100 to the lowest bidder, a desperate ploy to eat for a week. Now, as the buyer's shadow loomed over him, Jason's stomach twisted with a terror sharper than any coming-out nightmare. The stranger didn't look like the others. No Stetson tipped low over beer-gut eyes, no tobacco-stained grin promising backroom deals. He was tall, mid-40s maybe, with salt and pepper hair cropped close and a leather jacket that screamed East Coast transplant over dusty boots. His eyes, steel gray, piercing, locked on Jason's like they saw straight through the bravado, and when he stepped forward, parting the crowd with quiet authority, he extended a hand not to claim, but to offer. "Name's Elias," he said, voice low and steady as a heartbeat. "And kid, you're coming home with me." Jason stumbled out of the auction yard's chain-link gates, the gravel crunching under his sneakers like brittle bones, Elias's truck idling nearby, a beat-up Ford F-150 with New York plates that stuck out like a sore thumb amid the rusted pickups. The air hung heavy with the scent of livestock shit and diesel, the sun dipping low enough to paint the flat panhandle horizon in bloody oranges. Jason's legs felt like jelly. He'd half expected the buyer to be some leering creep looking for cheap labor or worse, but Elias just nodded toward the passenger door, casual as if he'd bid on a bale of alfalfa. "Get in," Elias said. Not a command but an invitation, sliding into the driver's seat. Jason hesitated, guitar slung over his shoulder like a shield, memories of his father's Bible-thumping rants flashing hot behind his eyes. "Queers burn, boy. You think the world's gonna hand you mercy?" But the truck's door creaked open, and Elias didn't push, just waited. Those gray eyes patient, lined with stories Jason couldn't yet read. He climbed in, the vinyl seat hot against his thighs through ripped jeans. The cab smelled like pine air freshener and faint cologne, a far cry from the sour sweat of the auction pit. Elias fired up the engine, the rumble vibrating through Jason's chest, and pulled onto the cracked highway without a word. Miles blurred by, windmills creaking lazy in the breeze, billboards hawking Jesus and Whataburger, until Elias finally broke the silence. "You play that thing like it owes you money. Saw you fiddling with it back there, tuning strings while they hawked you like prime ribeye." Jason's throat tightened. He'd strummed softly during the bidding, a nervous habit, plucking out fragments of an old folk tune his mom used to hum before the cancer took her and left him to his dad's iron-fisted gospel. "Yeah, well," he muttered, staring at his scuffed boots. "It's all I got left. Figured it'd fetch more than my sorry ass." The words came out sharper than intended, laced with the bitterness that had festered since his high school sweetheart outed him in a jealous Facebook rant, turning Jason from king hopeful to pariah overnight. Elias chuckled, low and warm, not mocking. "Sorry ass? Kid, you got fire in you. I saw it. Most boys your age would have bolted or begged. You stood there, chin up, like you owned the damn block." He glanced over, one hand loose on the wheel, the other tapping a rhythm on his thigh. Scarred knuckles, Jason noticed, from fights or hard work, he couldn't tell. "I'm Elias Kane. Own a spread just outside Lubbock, horses mostly. Therapy riding for vets and kids with issues. Needed an extra hand. But that's not why I bid." Jason's pulse quickened, suspicion coiling tight. "Then why? Pity party for the fag kid." The slur slipped out, self-lacerating, a weapon he'd turned on himself long before the town did. Elias's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed even. "Watch that mouth, Jason. I read your name on that crumpled flyer they pinned to your shirt like a goddamn price tag. And no, not pity. Recognition. Been where you are. Kicked out at 16 by a family that preached love but practiced hate. Thought I was bidding on a chance to pay it forward. Not some sob story. The confession hung between them, heavy as the gathering dusk. Jason swallowed hard, the guitar case digging into his thigh. Recognition, not revulsion. For the first time in months, the knot in his chest loosened a fraction. They drove on, the radio crackling with Willie Nelson crooning about lost highways, and Jason let himself steal glances at Elias. The way his profile cut sharp against the window, the faint stubble shadowing his jaw, the easy confidence that whispered of a man who'd clawed his way through hell and come out scarred but standing. By the time they rolled up to the ranch, and sprawling acre of weathered barns and sun-bleached fences under a sky exploding with stars, Jason's eyelids drooped, exhaustion crashing over him like a wave. Elias killed the engine, the sudden quiet amplifying the distant whinny of horses. "Guest room's yours," he said, hopping out and grabbing Jason's duffel from the truck bed. A threadbare thing holding nothing but faded band tees and a dog-eared copy of The Catcher in the Rye. No strings. You stay, you work. You go, doors always open. But tonight, shower's hot, fridge is stocked. Welcome home, kid. Home. The word pierced Jason like a hook, yanking tears he hadn't shed since the night his dad shoved him out with a duffel and a curse. He followed Elias inside, the screen door slapping shut behind them, and for the first time the word didn't taste like ash. The ranch house was a time capsule of lived-in comfort. Scarred oak floors, walls lined with faded photos of bucking broncos and grinning cowboys, a stone fireplace stacked with pine logs waiting for winter. Elias flicked on the kitchen light, revealing a Formica counter cluttered with coffee mugs and vet manuals. "Burgers?" he asked, pulling ground beef from the fridge. Jason nodded, too drained to argue, and perched on a stool, watching as Elias moved with efficient grace. Seasoning patties, slicing tomatoes, the sizzle of meat on cast iron filling the air with promise. Over dinner, words trickled out. Jason spoke in fits and starts. Of the Texas panhandle town that birthed him. The mom who'd shielded his secrets until chemo silenced her. The dad who'd turned faith into a fist after finding Jason's hidden stash of out magazines under the mattress. "He said I was possessed," Jason whispered, fork scraping his plate. "Drove me to the yard himself. Tossed me a 20 like I was trash day. Said if God didn't fix me, the world would break me." Elias listened, gray eyes steady, flipping burgers without missing a beat. When Jason trailed off, he slid a plate over. "World breaks us all, one way or another. Question is, do you let it grind you to dust, or do you rebuild stronger?" He paused, then added softer. "I lost my brother to that kind of hate. AIDS in the 90s before the cocktails. Family blamed him, called it God's judgment. I got out, joined the Marines to escape, came back stateside to build something real. This place, it's for the broken ones. Like the horses we rehab, kicked, whipped, forgotten. They don't forget kindness, though." Jason chewed slowly, the burger juicy and spiced just right, warmth spreading through him that had nothing to do with the food. Kindness. It felt foreign, suspect, like a gift horse he was afraid to look in the mouth. But Elias's presence grounded him. Solid, unyielding, with a quiet strength that made Jason's skin prickle in ways he dared not name yet. Not lust, not quite. More like the pull of a lodestar, guiding him from the dark. That night, in the guest room with its quilted bed and window overlooking the corral, Jason lay awake, strumming his guitar softly. The notes wove through the walls, raw, aching chords of longing he'd never voiced. From down the hall, a faint echo joined. Elias's harmonica, mournful and matching, like two souls calling across the void. Sleep came eventually, dreamless and deep, the first real rest since his world shattered. Mornings on the Kane Ranch started with dawn's first blush, roosters crowing like reveille. Jason woke to the smell of bacon frying, Elias already at the stove in a threadbare Henley that hugged his broad shoulders. "Up and at 'em, cowboy," he called, plating eggs with a wink that sent an unwelcome flutter through Jason's gut. "Not now," he scolded himself. "He's just being decent. Don't fuck this up." Work was grueling but rhythmic. Mucking stalls, grooming the therapy horses, gentle giants named Whiskey and Sage, their coats soft under Jason's tentative brushes. Elias taught him the reins, patient with Jason's city boy clumsiness. "Feel the pull, not the force," he'd say, hands guiding Jason's on the leather, calluses rough against smoother skin. Those touches lingered, electric, stirring confessions Jason buried deep, the crushes on high school jocks, the furtive hookups and truck stops that left him hollow. By week's end, routine settled like dust after a storm. Evenings brought bonfires in the pit, beers cracked open as fireflies danced. Elias shared stories. Boot camp in the Mojave, the drag bars of Greenwich Village where he'd found his stride after discharge, the lover lost to a homophobic bar brawl in '98. Name was Riley, Elias murmured one night, flames carving shadows on his face. Laughed like thunder, loved like fire. Taught me family's not blood, it's choice. Jason nodded, nursing his bottle, the alcohol loosening his tongue. Never had that. Closest was Mikey, my ex. He sold me out to the whole school after I wouldn't blow him in the locker room. Said I was too girly for real men. The admission burned, but Elias's hand on his shoulder, firm, steady, cooled it. Real men build, Jason. They don't break. In those moments, something bloomed. Not just gratitude, but yearning. Jason caught himself watching Elias laugh, the way his eyes crinkled, the low timbre of his voice reciting Dylan lyrics. It scared him, this pull toward a man twice his age, a savior figure with ghosts of his own. But when Elias brushed past him in the barn, hip to hip, Jason's breath hitched, heat pooling low. He's straight, he rationalized. Or at least not for you. Then came the storm, literal and figurative. Thunderheads rolled in from the plains, dumping sheets of rain that turned the ranch to mud. Power flickered out, leaving them to candlelight and canned chili by the hearth. Huddled under blankets, stories turned intimate. Elias confessed the ache of solitude. After Riley, I swore off. Too many graves, kid. But you remind me there's life left. Jason's heart hammered. What if I don't want to be a reminder? What if I want? He trailed off, face aflame, but Elias's gaze darkened. Intent. The kiss came slow, inevitable, lips brushing tentative, then hungry, beard scraping as hands roamed. Jason melted into it, tasting salt and smoke, the world narrowing to Elias's weight, pinning him gently to the rug. Clothes shed in a frenzy, bodies joining with a reverence that shattered Jason's defenses. It was more than sex. It was absolution, Elias whispering beautiful against his neck, mine in the afterglow. But dawn brought clarity and conflict. Elias pulled back, guilt etching his brow. This is complicated. You're healing, I'm your. He couldn't say guardian. Jason bolted to the barn, rain lashing his face, anger warring with bliss. Complicated? He saddled whiskey, galloping into the downpour, thunder masking his sobs. How could something so right feel so wrong? Days blurred into avoidance. Jason threw himself into work, but the tension crackled. Stolen glances, accidental touches igniting sparks. Elias tried talking. I don't regret it, Jace, but I bid on you to save a kid, not seduce one. Jason fired back. I'm not a kid, 19, remember? Or does that make me your dirty secret? The accusation landed like a slap. Elias retreated, burying himself in calls to the equine therapist network. But the ranch felt smaller, suffocating. Then betrayal slithered in unbidden. A letter arrived, forwarded from the auction yard, scrawled in his father's chicken scratch. Heard you're shacked up with some Yankee queer. Come home, boy. We'll pray the devil out. Or don't. Your choice, but blood's blood. Jason crumpled it, fury boiling. He confronted Elias that night, waving the paper like a flag of surrender. See, this is what I am to them. A mistake to fix. And to you? What? A pity fuck. Tears streamed, hot and unbidden. Elias reached for him, but Jason jerked away. You claimed me like property. Maybe Dad was right. I'm just auction trash. The words gutted them both. Elias's face crumpled, voice raw. I claimed you because I saw myself in you. Lost, fierce, worth fighting for. That night, God, Jace, it was real. But I won't trap you here out of my own loneliness. He turned, shoulders slumped, leaving Jason alone with the fire's dying embers. High noon sun baked the corral as Jason packed his duffel, guitar case zipped tight. Whiskey nickered softly, nosing his pocket for the apple he always saved. Elias appeared at the barn door, arms crossed, devastation plain. Leaving, not accusation, resignation. Jason's throat closed. Can't stay. Can't be your redemption project. He slung his bag over his shoulder, boots scuffing dirt. Elias stepped forward, voice cracking. You're not. You're everything. Stay. Fight with me, not against. But pride won. Jason walked to the gate, thumb out for a ride, heart splintering. The highway shimmered heat-waved, trucks roaring past. One pulled over, an old-timer headed to Dallas. Jason climbed in, refusing to look back, the ranch shrinking in the mirror like a dream dissolving. Weeks ground by in anonymity. Dallas was a blur of dive bars and day labor, hauling crates at the stockyards, crashing on couches of strangers who eyed his youth with hunger. He played gigs in smoky honky-tonks, folk covers masking original lyrics about gray-eyed ghosts and stolen kisses. But emptiness gnawed, Elias's absence a phantom limb. Letters went unsent. I miss your harmonica. Miss you. Fate, cruel jester, intervened at a county fair rodeo. Booths hawking funnel cakes, kids shrieking on rides. Jason buskied under the Ferris wheel, hat out for tips, when a familiar truck rumbled up. Elias, disheveled in the same leather jacket, eyes bloodshot from roads traveled. He'd tracked him, calls to mutuals, a private eye favor from an old Marine buddy. Couldn't let you vanish, he said, voice gravel. Not without knowing, you changed me too. Jason's resolve cracked. How? By running. By showing me love's not a battlefield. It's home. Elias pulled him close, heedless of stares, kiss fierce and claiming. Around them, the fair world. Laughter, lights. But in that moment, it was just them. Two broken men forging whole. Back at the ranch, they rebuilt. Slowly, Elias introduced Jason to the therapy sessions, guiding shell-shocked vets on horseback, Jason's guitar serenading the rides. Conflicts arose. Elias's jealousy over a flirty stable hand, Jason's nightmares of abandonment flaring into arguments that shook the rafters. You're mine, Jason yelled once, fists balled. Elias pulled him down, murmuring, always was, from the gavel's crack. Betrayal's shadow lingered. Jason's dad showed up one dust-choked afternoon, Bible in hand, eyes wild with fanatic fire. Come home, son. This sinner's leading you to ruin. The porch confrontation erupted. Slurs hurled, Elias stepping between like a shield. Jason chose then, voice steel. He's family. You're just a ghost. The old man left, tail between legs, but the wound festered. Nights brought doubts. Jason tracing Elias's scars, whispering, what if I'm not enough? Elias's reply, always, you're the song I never knew I needed. Climax crashed in a blizzard's white fury, isolating the ranch. Power out, pipes frozen. They huddled by the fire, bodies entwined for warmth. Confessions poured. Elias admitting he'd fallen first, bidding not just for salvation but a spark reignited. Jason bared his soul, the fear of loving a man who could break him worse than any auction block. Storm broke, revealing clarity. Spring bloomed with green shoots, mirroring their growth. Jason enrolled in community college, music therapy, channeling pain to purpose. Elias proposed under the stars, not with rings but vows etched in soil. Claim you forever, Jace. Family, lover, all of it. Years wove them tighter. The ranch expanded, programs for queer youth, Jason leading sessions with his guitar as bridge. Elias aged gracefully, silver threading his hair, while Jason bloomed, tattoos mapping their story across his skin. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Love, the enduring verse. In the end, it wasn't perfection. No tidy bows on grief's ragged edges. But in America's heartland sprawl, where auctions traded flesh and faith peddled lies, two men carved truth from dirt. Jason, once abandoned, now anchored, claimed not as property but partner. And in quiet evenings, harmonica duetting guitar, they played on, a melody of chosen kin.